Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Drop Terzuola ATCF Tanto. Pretty excited to get my hands on this one. I got to briefly hold one of their last Terzola collaborations. It was the compact tactical folder. There's a couple things I didn't like about it, which are not present on this knife. It was a bit blocky in hand feel, but this one absolutely does not feel like that. But when I saw this one coming out, I just said, hey, I missed out on the last one. Can you guys send me one to review? And they did. So thank you very much, Drop, for that. This is a prototype. If you go on their site right now, these are on pre-order for $159 for this particular version. A couple of the other ones are more expensive. We'll get to that in just a moment. But you're not going to see it till January if you pre-order it now. But you do get $20 off. So I do like that Drop's doing that now. For the pre-orders, guys, you get a little money off, and then after January, that's just going to be one of those things that they have in stock at regular periods, so you'll be able to just go out and buy them. I do like that Drop is doing that more, that you can just go get stuff instead of having to wait forever. You can choose to either wait forever and get a discount, or you can just wait till they come out and go get it. But a spoiler alert, even at $179 instead of the $159 pre-order price, worth it. I do really like this knife. Surprised at how much I like it, because there's a couple things that I'm not usually drawn to, but in this knife, really do like him. Let's just talk more about Bob Terzoula. He's kind of considered to be like the founder of the modern tactical folder. Definitely knows what he's doing. This is made by Wee Knives. Definitely know what they're doing. You can kind of tell by the screws. The Wee screws are so nice and just so distinctive now that you can just kind of tell by glancing at it that it's a Wee. S35 VN steel, titanium liner lock, but a titanium liner lock with a stainless steel insert, which I think is very cool. You don't see that on titanium liner locks a lot. I think it was pretty cool they integrated that. G10 backspacer, no lanyard hole. It just has this lanyard pin instead, so love that. You know how I feel about lanyard holes. Amazing titanium pocket clip, which we will get to as we go on. Pretty minimal, logo stuff. You just have the Drop logo on the pivot, and just the Terzoula maker's mark on the blade. Can't complain about that. And an S35 VN in the usual hidden Wee spot. They like to hide stuff down there in the flipper tabs. They're very good. Sometimes when you get anything made by Wee, or branded as Civivi or branded as anything else, it's kind of a find the steel marking. It's fun. Thumb disc or flipper tab deployment. I really like the look of it. I think it looks pretty cool. I especially really like this blue. This is called the slate blue with the stonewash blade. You can also get it in black G10 with a black blade, coyote brown with a stonewash blade, OD green with a stonewash blade. For $30 more, you can get a black carbon fiber with a satin blade, or for $40 more. Is pretty darn sexy in the pictures. I kind of wish I'd have asked them to send me one of those, but who knows. It was the silver carbon fiber with a satin blade, which is quite flashy, but I kind of think it looks pretty cool. But again, as I said, $159 right now, $179 once they're out in January. Let's do some stats and size comparisons before we get too much farther. We're gonna just do the stats very quickly. You have a blade length of 3.4 inches, overall length of 7.7 inches, blade stock thickness 0.16 inches, handle thickness of 0.55 inches, and a weight of 4.2 ounces. So it is definitely in that full size sort of category, but tactical folder, it says it right in the name. You would kind of expect that, right? Size comparison wise, it's not huge, absolutely, especially you put it up against the PM2. Yeah, it's a little shorter than a Paramilitary 2, our usual Spyderco sandwich. Your Para 3, we're off camera here, and your Para 3, and let's compare it to just for giggles, I'm going to put up some more mass drop / drop options. If you guys don't know, mass drop changed their name, so some of these knives are going to say mass drop on them, but they are the same. This is the Ferrum Forge Gent, the Ferrum Forge Mordax. You can see it's significantly smaller than a Mordax. And lastly, for the drop iterations, this is the Ray Laconico collaboration Keen, one of my favorites. Yeah, it's still even just a little bit shorter than a Keen. So you see, it's not a huge knife, but I definitely still would call it a full size, especially when we look at handle thickness and all that. And let's just go a couple of kind of more tactical-y folders also, since this has tactical in the name of it. We have the Cold Steel American Lawman, and since I have it out here, the Steelwell Apostate. And I'm doing very, very poorly at keeping things on camera today. Sorry about that. So not a huge knife. I would still call it full size. Barely in that kind of full size category. Now, talking more about this knife specifically, let's talk about this blade. Yeah, fairly thick blade stock, 0.16. That's pretty thick, but when you're going to put tactical right there in the name, I guess you kind of have to have that. But fairly thin behind the edge, 21 thousandths. You have this kind of high saber grind, as I said, American Tanto. You know what? It came out of the box sharp as hell. Again, this is a prototype, but I would expect that to remain the same. And it slices pretty darn good. It does have a thumb disc, which it might get in your slicing path if that upsets you. But if that upsets you, you can just remove it. It just comes off with a screw here, and you still have the flipper tab to open it. So you don't necessarily need to have the thumb disc if you don't want to, which I think is pretty neat. I think the other one, I think the last one, did not have the flipper tab. Maybe it did. I don't remember now, but I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I'm not going to pull that off. So, yeah, you don't have to have it if you don't want it. So you can no, it did have the flipper tab. I'm sorry. I'm just glancing up and looking at a picture. But you can take the flipper, or take the thumb disc off if you don't want it. I like it. I like having multiple ways to deploy it. We'll talk more about that when we get to that part. As far as ergonomics go, very, very comfortable. That was the one thing. I held someone else's of the original, the compact tactical folder, and I didn't care that much for how it felt in the hand. It just felt a little sharpish around the edges, things like that. This one does not. This is very comfortable. Even though it looks more blocky than the original compact tactical folder, it isn't. It's less blocky in the hand anyway. And it just feels good. Jimping lands in just the right place. If you're pushing down on stuff, that thumb disc is really nice to have a nice big flat spot to rest your thumb on. And also, if you want to choke up a bit, you can kind of use the little bit of jimping that's on the edge of that thumb disc to kind of, just rotate your thumb a little bit. You can hold it. There's a flat spot to choke up on, but yeah, be very careful with that. There's not, you can just, pretty easy to cut yourself on that. But ergonomically, I think it's pretty darn good. You can't feel this pocket clip at all. Excellently designed pocket clip. Which brings us to our next category, the carry on this. This pocket clip, I am in love with this pocket clip, I do have to say. Hidden screws, that's nice. But it's kind of I almost want to call it like a hybrid pocket clip. It is a machined, titanium milled pocket clip. But it's thin, almost like a regular, spring clip, which I think is super cool. I really do like it. It's got the perfect amount of spring tension. It's not thick and blocky. It's perfectly shaped, as I said. It has no hot spots whatsoever. That's really cool. In the pocket, yeah, there's some sticking out. It's not deep carry or anything, but again, this knife does have some tactical aspiration, so you kind of almost wouldn't expect it to be. And especially, obviously, in this blue color, it blends in with a pair of jeans very, very well. But yeah, it carries really well. And the pocket, and the flipper tab, tiny, doesn't get in your way, super easy to get your hand by. It carries really well. I mean, yeah, the handle's a bit thick, but it just carries very, very, very well. Deployment also is pretty darn great. It's you'd expect to get the detent right. I always kind of want, worry, I guess, maybe that's the right word. I'm not really sure. I'm always a bit concerned, I guess. Sometimes when knives have multiple deployment methods, sometimes the detent is geared towards one deployment method as opposed to the other. One sacrifices for the other. I don't feel that way on this. It flips just as well as the thumb studs work, which in both cases is very good. detent is I'm not going to call it quite perfect. If it was on a scale of 1 to 10 and, with we were trying to meet in the middle with, say, 5 being perfect or whatever. This is maybe a 4.5. But I really like the deployment on it, and it drops shut like nobody's business. Definitely. It's very, very, very good. I will say, I was already told by Drop that there's going to be one change. On this prototype, the stop pin is in the blade. On the production, it's going to be in the handle. So there's going to be a slight change there. I don't think that will be a thing you'll feel. They just wanted a steel on steel feel instead of right now this is a pin in the blade whacking the titanium, so they just wanted steel on steel. You probably would have never known that if I didn't say so, because I'm not taking it apart. But yeah, I really like the action on it very, very well. That's kind of my conclusion. I really like this thing a lot. I really want to have one. And I'm not a super Tanto guy. Like I said, I'm not for him or against him. I just am always kind of neutral about him. But this one works extremely well. Very good construction, and I think my favorite things about it are just how good and natural it feels in the hand in any kind of grip that you want to grab it in. And I freaking love this pocket clip. I wish that pocket clip was on a lot more stuff. That is just a superbly designed pocket clip. And I think the price is very, very, very fair. As I said, $159 if you get it before August 22nd is when the price goes up. And then after that, you have to wait till January, and then they're $179. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.